Hey guys, and welcome back to Game Sense 101. In this episode, I will be discussing how to come out ahead of your opponents in gunfights by thinking ahead and predicting their decisions. I'll be using 5 examples of pro players thinking ahead of varying degrees, starting with a basic example and getting to more advanced cases. In each case, I'll be explaining why and how they made the decision, and how you can incorporate the strategic thinking into your own game. The first clip is an engagement Poach gets into. They're both building up for high ground, and you can see they both place their ramps at the same time. In Poach's head, he realizes the other player is likely at the same position on his ramp as he is on his own. So Poach places a cone. With this cone, Poach can either keep running through and get high ground, or he can keep the cone and let the other person build off of it, which he can then edit and take the person's build down. We see Poach do the latter of these two, and the other player falls but still keeps high ground. Now the cone play was definitely a good play, but Poach's game sense really kicks in after he's on the low ground. Poach knows his opponent is low and healing, so he breaks the first wall under his build and positions himself so he's virtually hidden from his opponent's point of view. At this point, his opponent has two options: get knocked down, as Poach will likely pickaxe the remaining support on his build, or jump off and try to surprise shotgun Poach. Poach knows from how aggressive this guy previously was that he was likely to jump down, and even if he doesn't, all Poach needs to do is pre-aim, as he can just pickaxe the guy down if he doesn't hear or see him coming down on his own. So we see Poach's opponent do exactly as Poach knew he would, and Poach gets an easy kill without taking any damage. The second example is from NRG Zate. Zate gets lasered pretty hard here, and if we look at his mats, we see he's also getting low. Zate needs to end the fight quickly or he's dead to zone, fall damage, or his opponent finishing him off. His opponent builds up, but builds perfectly into the hands of Zate. Zate quickly places not only a floor but a cone on top of the enemy's ramp. He then quickly edits and kills his opponent. Now, while this is pretty basic, this is important to show that Zate knew he needed to kill his opponent then and now. If he had just placed the floor, his opponent would likely place a cone over it, not allowing him to edit down and get a shotgun shot off. This would have destroyed Zate's only opportunity to kill him, and this is why practicing quick edits is important. Zate takes his enemy by surprise by how quickly he edits both the cone and floor, and because those are both Zate's builds, his enemy is left out in the open with no way to build and protect himself. I think this example is important, as it shows how Zate was aware that this is his last chance to win the game. He's low on mats, health, and his opponent is pushing for high ground. He needs to act quick and reads his opponent's movements like a book to secure the win. So for this third case, we'll get a little bit more advanced here, but nothing crazy. So again, another Poach example. Poach has his opponent turtled up in a box in front of him. The first thing Poach is thinking of is how he can get this guy out and kill him without losing high ground. Now he has no stink bombs or grenades, so he knows he's going to have to replace his opponent's wall. Even if he had impulse grenades or a heavy sniper, it's too dangerous to W-key his opponent, as he has no idea if his opponent has traps or a double barrel. Something I see a lot of players do against me is take 50-50s like that and just jump into my box. What they don't realize is that every wall around them is now mine, and it's so easy to just put down a trap and kill them. So what is Poach going to do? The only thing Poach needs to do is be careful of letting the turtling guy escape from the box from the top and get high ground. If his opponent tries to get out any other way, he's dead or won't get high ground, which is fine for Poach. So we see Poach replace the wall, which is smart, but because his opponent is another pro, he puts a ramp down in front of himself to protect from Poach's shotgun and SMG spray. Now here's where Poach shows his game IQ. Poach breaks the ramp with his SMG and places a cone. Now why is this so smart? His opponent is likely spamming his wall bind as Poach puts down this cone to avoid getting shot by Poach's teammate. And now with the cone down, he can't place a ramp to try to protect himself from Poach. So this takes his opponent by surprise and lets Poach get in a shotgun shot and kill his opponent. Poach put himself in his opponent's shoes and knew he would be trying to place down a ramp. While it may seem risky, as Poach is also leaving himself exposed to get shot at, placing down the cone took his opponent by surprise and didn't give him any time to react or get any shots in.
One's running.
He's pickaxing me. On me.
Hold on, I got this guy. Got him. Coming.
Careful on me, he's hurt.
Our fourth example is an extremely creative play by Mitro from the fall skirmish. Mitro has no heals and needs to get down to his opponent healing on the low ground. After looking at his inventory, he realizes he can use the shockwave grenades to break through any builds, but how can he break downwards? Mitro instinctively builds a floor above him, as he realizes the shockwave grenades stick to any surface and propel you in the opposite direction. In this last-ditch effort, Mitro perfectly executes the play and shotguns his opponent to win the game. So why in this case is it okay for Mitro to impulse into his opponent's face? Well, he needs to stop the healer, and that's all he cares about. If he dies to a trap, that's fine, because at least he tried to kill the guy below him, instead of dying to the swarm as he has no heals. Impulse plays like these, where you force yourself into someone else's turtle, usually work early and mid-game, when you know the enemy probably won't have traps, or you see or hear him healing and want to catch him off guard. But just realize, you don't always want to W key into your opponent's box, as you'll likely be trapped by a good player. So make sure to weigh the risk of what you want to do. If you have 10 health and this is your last option, you should go for it. But if you're full health and have high ground with heals, then maybe there's better options to secure a win. The last example is probably one of the smartest things I've ever witnessed in Fortnite. It truly blew me away, not only because of how perfectly it was executed, but because after playing this game for over 10 months, I had never seen anything like this attempted or done. Kayun recognizes his opponent is one build in front of him and healing, so he heavy snipers the floor out, and his opponent, who's caught off guard, panics and builds a floor in front of Kayun to prevent fall damage. Kayun knew he'd do this, and edits the wall in front of him, and then traps him, using the floor the other guy had just built. To his opponent, all he could do was catch himself, and after that, he was in the hands of Kayun's traps. This example showcases how having a high level of game sense can let you be creative and make a quick move to kill your opponent with regret. In reality, that's the hardest part about gunfights in Fortnite. You need to figure out the quickest and least dangerous way to kill your opponent.
He's a good player. Cocktail's gonna be super hard. I'm insane.
So, to sum it all up, whenever you're in a fight, you need to be thinking of two things. What am I doing and what is my opponent doing? The first question is actually answered by the second. What I mean by that is you should base your decisions off what your opponent is currently doing and what he is going to be doing next. How you can decide what he's going to be doing next? Well, you need to judge his movements, what you're hearing, everything around you, and what he's done in the past. If he's aggressive, he's likely to make another aggressive play. My final piece of advice, which I'm going to advise in every episode, is to keep watching streamers like Bizzle, Poach, Chap, 72 Hours, and Vivid. You can see how these players approach different situations, and then incorporate how they thought about the situation into your own game. If you enjoyed the episode, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.